So what should we make of all of this? What should we take from this video? Does it mean that a threat is imminent? Joining us now is David Gartenstein-Ross. He's a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and a professor in Georgetown University Security Studies program. David is also the author of Bin Laden's Legacy, Why We're Still Losing the War on Terror. David, what do you make of this video?
I think that it, more than anything, illustrates the gap between people's perceptions of Yemen and what's actually happening on the ground in Yemen. You know, the question comes up a lot, and it's come up today in public discussion all the time. Why is it that a drone didn't strike this meeting? But the fact is that to have drone coverage of all of that part of Yemen that you were pointing towards would be virtually impossible. The number of drones that it would take, and also the idea that a drone would simply strike this meeting, there's two problems with it. One, as has been reported publicly, the way that drone strikes tend to occur is that you'll have the drone that is focusing on a specific target. You have to go through an authorization process. Secondly, it's true that signature strikes do strike meetings when you don't have an authorization for a particular target, but there are costs to signature strikes, number one. And number two, outdoor meetings are fairly common. So it's not as though a drone is automatically going to strike an outdoor meeting of a large number of males.
Hi, David. It's Tara. When I heard about this and I heard that it was in Yemen, it was of no surprise to me given just what Buck just talked about. But also I read recently that there was a shipment, allegedly, of Al-Qaeda weapons that on a ship into the port of Aden that was intercepted by the Yemenis, and that they seem to be operating with reckless abandon there. And because of what happened in 2012 with the Arab Spring unrest that took place in Yemen against the former president there, that it seems as though AQAP has taken advantage of that and even more audaciously taken a stronghold, particularly in the southern part of Yemen. So do you think that we have another Afghanistan situation on the rise here, that but they're more audacious about it because they have safe haven, they can operate, not worrying about drone strikes anymore, and now they smell blood in the water because they have a weak United States president?
Well, their audacity really crested in 2011 to 2012. At that point, Al-Qaeda was actually able to really control and govern territory on the ground. They did some pretty awful things during that period, such as crucifying people, for example, implementing their very hardline version of Sharia law. They still continue to enjoy the ability to operate on the ground. They aren't in the same sort of governing capacity that they were a year or two ago. Drone strikes are still an issue for them. I mean, you can see just from news accounts that drones are targeting leadership. But as I said, we need to understand that the drone campaign isn't total coverage of any of these parts of Yemen, which have a significant militant presence. And even after some previous drone strikes, you've had top leaders within the organization turn out to rallies to try to rally people to their support. So it's not as though drones are the all-inclusive solution that they're sometimes painted as by the administration.
You know, I wanted to, David has talked about this concept of the signature strike. Let's just also re-clarify the targeted strikes when you have a specific target. You want name, place, person that you're gonna strike. Signature strikes when you have a
certain set criteria. You hit you check those boxes and
That's
you go boom. Yeah.
That's right. I think it's interesting. He says, by the way, many of the signatures, many of the characteristics that you would hope to strike were present here, but that doesn't necessarily make them unique. Large outdoor gathering of men doesn't mean it's Al-Qaeda.
There have been some weddings that have been lit up, unfortunately, by suspected drone strikes, specifically because not only do you have large numbers of males out in the open, but they like to fire AK-47s in the air as celebration.
What I think is interesting is the administration has constantly maintained that Al-Qaeda's underground, that they're communicating through courier. That's obviously not the case. These people are out in the open. They seem very confident. They don't look to me like they're underground.
And they're also using social media. They're like tweeting back and forth to each other like college kids.
There's a far cry between decimated and being this savvy with social media. I mean, when the average American looks at this video, they're going to see flashy graphics, not even the grainy type of videos we saw from Al-Qaeda in the past. So to me, when I see this, I would be pretty shocked if I didn't understand the state of our intelligence affairs.
David, there are some who are trying to raise the possibility that there's been an operational security and an OPSEC change that Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula has made in response to that story back in August about, and this is from the Daily Beast, the crucial intercept that prompted the U.S. government to close 22 embassies, or embassies in 22 countries, was a conference call between Al-Qaeda's senior leaders and representatives of several of the group's affiliates throughout the region. Some are saying, well, they must have changed things up and now they're doing better. That seems to be a bit of a stretch to me, but what do we expect now from Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula? Are they looking to seize territory inside of Yemen, or do you think they're going to be more focused based upon what we saw in this video of them saying the cross is America, we're attacking the cross? Are they coming after us now, and is this something that is a heightened threat to the homeland based on what we've seen here?
Well, first of all, I think that they have changed their operational security. I mean, that's something that's not going to be obvious just by looking at open source information. But you have had, for example, Mike Rogers talk about changes to their operational security. We have to remember that they do read the media as well, which is sometimes something people forget, for example, in debates over the Snowden revelations. With respect to what their goal is, I think their immediate goal is not to recapture territory, in part because it was hard to capture it, govern, and hold the territory, which is why they ultimately ended up undertaking a strategic retreat. But if they want to capture territory, they have the capability to do so. And the Islamic State of Iraq and Asham, the major militant group in Iraq, they decided to undertake a major offensive at the beginning of this year, captured major parts of Fallujah and Ramadi, and were able to hold Fallujah to this very day. So to that extent, when Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula does decide to undertake an offensive, it will almost certainly take us by surprise.
David made the point about drone strikes, and you made the point about the weddings and the gatherings. There's a reason why there's only been 8 strikes this year compared to 34 last year. We've brought back our military strikes there because I wonder if Al-Qaeda is aware of the politics in the U.S. and what's going on and taking advantage of that because they know that we're not going to strike them the same way.
All right. David, thank you very much for joining us. Good to see you.
Always good seeing you.